Welcome to Pique Your Interest, your go-to podcast for all things mortgage and real estate. Hosted by Tanner Greenwald and Tim Velasquez. We bring you expert insights to help you buy, sell, and invest with confidence. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the Pique Your Interest podcast, the podcast where we seek to demystify all things mortgage and real estate related. I'm Tim Velasquez, a loan officer here at First Home Mortgage, and to my right is Alex Brown with State Farm. He is an agency owner, he has a couple of offices, and he does a fantastic job. We're going to talk today about things that you should be asking your insurance agent, things you want to make sure your policy covers. First-time buyers make up an awful large grouping of people that buy houses. And so, for me, I know getting insurance the first time I bought a house was kind of nerve-wracking because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know who to ask or what to ask. And you don't even know that you don't know what to ask. You just say, hey, I need an insurance policy. And you magically get one. But you're not really doing the best job of advocating for yourself, and an insurance agent's not really doing their best job if they're not educating you along the way. And I know that's something that Alex prides himself in being able to do. So, what are some common questions that you think either you get or people should be asking, and what are things that we should be looking for in policies?
Sure, and if you don't mind, just before we even get to that point, if you contact an insurance company and they just say, this is how much the insurance would cost, and that's pretty much it without asking any kind of in-depth questions at all, that's a big red flag, right? So you're getting ready to purchase a home, which is going to be one of your largest assets. Make sure you know what you're doing to protect that asset. Right? So
that makes sense.
Just big red flag there. Don't just ask for a quote and take that number and think you got a great policy, because chances are you might not.
Well, it's just like us. It's like calling a mortgage company and saying, hey, what are the rates? What are my payments? And, I don't know anything about you. I don't know how much money you make, what your credit score is, how much money you have for down payment. Makes total sense. So ask the right questions, right?
Yes. So and that's
what
we're going to talk about.
Questions we should be asking. Right?
Yeah. So I would say the big thing is, and again, I can speak from my experience here, but first-time home buyers is a big one, right? So I know when you come to us, we're going to make sure that you're comfortable, and we're going to dig in and ask you some questions so that you know what you're covered for, right? But if you're going into it and you really are not sure, and that you don't feel like that agent is, or that insurance company is asking you the right questions, I always like to kind of give some examples, right? Some real life examples of some claims that we have had that may have been covered or not, depending on if they had the right policy or not, right? So a big one that we always have come up is the issue of a sub pump, right? So we all know a lovely sub pump, and if that thing doesn't work, it fails. Most people would just expect their homeowner policy to cover that, right? Just especially a first-time home buyer, I expect that to be covered.
I'm guessing by the way that you're saying it, it's not.
It's not, right? It is absolutely not. And it is not a standard coverage on a homeowner policy, right? It's something that has to be added on as an endorsement. Now, hopefully, whoever you're buying the policy from is going to offer you that endorsement. But I can tell you that that's not the case. Especially, let's say you're in a price point with qualifying for a mortgage. We see it all the time, and they might try to get that policy as cheap as possible, and that doesn't work. They're going to take that endorsement off, right? So you just got to be careful in that. Make sure that that's something that you have. It's one of the most common claims that we see through the door is that sump pump.
So if you have a basement in Maryland, you need a sump pump.
You need a sump pump, right?
Clear as can be.
And unfortunately, we do get some storms around here, and they can stop working, and all of that, and then your basement's flooded with thousands of dollars worth of damage. So you want to make sure that's taken care of.
So makes sense.
That's a big one.
Okay.
Something else to think about is kind of what you're expecting to pay when you have a claim. If we're talking a first-time home buyer, money might be a little tight, right? If you have a claim, how much money are you willing to put out when you have that claim? What we're referencing there is your deductible, right? The higher that deductible, the lower your premiums are going to be, right? But you have to make sure that you can afford that deductible, so that we can that State Farm can come in and take care of the rest for you. We do see that where there are some very, very large deductibles put on policies that just aren't manageable. And also companies out there have separate deductibles as well, like a hurricane deductible or a tornado deductible, right? You got to be very, very careful with those type things because they could be very large numbers.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. All right. And so one of the things that I want to make sure we cover today is talking about service lines, because I know, I've lived in houses where people have said, hey, you should be buying service line coverage. And I wasn't really sure what that was at the time. I didn't buy it.
Sure.
I was lucky enough that I ended up not needing it. So it was never an issue. But I can imagine needing that coverage, not having it. I can't even imagine what the bill would be.
Yeah.
So cover service lines a little bit, because I know that's kind of a big one too.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And State Farm, we are fortunate to be able to offer the coverage for our customers. And a lot of people don't realize that if things are outside of your home, it's not covered under your homeowner policy. So all of your sewage, your water lines, your gas lines, all those things that are underground outside of the home or below your slab, those things are not covered underneath your homeowner policy. So that's why you have what's called a service line protection.
Yeah.
And if you live in Maryland, you probably get solicited for those by your electric company or whoever else. But if you don't have it, the biggest thing that we see are trees growing through sewage lines. If you have a tree in your backyard, chances are you got sewage lines back there.
Right.
If those roots grow through there, it's no good.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that about 10 years ago, that was about a $10,000 bill. So I'm sure it's more today.
Yeah.
So you're on the hook for a $10,000 claim if you don't have a proper service line coverage on there. And it's super inexpensive. It's less than $100 a year to have, something like that on your policy.
That's a real peace of mind, for sure.
It's crazy. It's very, very common. And I feel horrible because we've only offered it for a couple years now. So, the word's still getting out there. And when someone calls me and I just cross my fingers, please have that endorsement, because it's just so inexpensive to have.
Man.
Yeah.
All right. What are some other things that people might think are covered, but really aren't?
Yeah. The biggest thing that I come across on a daily basis is specific contents. So you really want to be careful with that. Just because you have $200,000 worth of contents on your homeowner's policy doesn't mean that all that jewelry you have is going to be covered, or your firearms are going to be covered, or all of your laptops, or fine art, things of that nature, wine collections, believe it or not. So there are all different types of things that there's limitations on. And you just want to make sure if you have those items, what you're covered for and what you're not.
Okay.
They'll be covered, but maybe you have $10,000 in firearms. Well, you might only be covered for $2,500, right? So that's not going to make you very happy,
right?
When you have a claim and find out that that's not covered. So really asking the right questions. Your insurance agent should be going through those things with you.
Yeah.
But if they are not, ask if there's any limitations on coverages, right? Certain items that there might not be coverage on, or a limitation of coverage on.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yep.
As far as the housing systems go, let's say my HVAC goes up. Is that something that's covered?
It is not, ready, but unless it's endorsed, right? So it's all about these endorsements.
Yeah.
So you're seeing a trend there, right? So there's basic things, and then there's things that need to be endorsed on your policy. And HVAC, your water heater, all those things are systems inside of your home, right? A very popular one now are charging stations, right? Your Tesla battery ports, things like that. Those are considered home systems that help run your home. And if those go out, there is coverage you can get for that. Very inexpensive, again, under $100 a year, that you can make sure those systems are taken care of.
Yeah.
Personally, I had to file one almost a year ago. In my basement, I have what's called an upflush system. So it's where the water has to be pumped up out of the house. I didn't realize that those things cost about $2,000. So I had the coverage. So that was covered under a home system protection. So.
Interesting.
Yep.
Good to know.
Yep.
All right. Anything else? Any other questions that we should be asking? Anything else that we should be seeking to make sure we have? Obviously, we want to be asking for endorsements, right? That's a really big thing, as we've learned over the last few minutes. But anything else that people should be asking their insurance agent, you think?
Yeah, I would just say pay attention to exclusions, right?
Okay.
There's certain companies that have exclusions around like dogs, right? So State Farm does not, right? So we do not discriminate against the breed of animal that you have. But other companies out there, won't name names, they do. So make sure you ask about that. It's a big deal. I mean, a lot of people have dogs, right? Yeah. So you don't want something to happen there and then not be covered for, God forbid, your dog, bites someone or something like that. The other thing would be your liability protections. It's a big one.
Okay.
But if you're sued, right, for your negligence, it's something you really have to watch out for. So in the state of Maryland, people can kind of come after you for just about anything. Yeah. So you want to make sure that your policy has liability protections out there. I always tell a crazy story. Hopefully it would never happen, but I play bad golf, right? So if I'm on the golf course and my ball flies and hits someone in the head and knocks them out, they could sue me for that, right? Well, my liability for my homeowners follows me with that. There could be some serious damage there, and maybe my policy only covers me for $100,000. And I could be on the hook for up to $1 million, right? So don't be afraid to ask about that liability protection when you're looking for your homeowners. It's very important. It's a few more dollars annually to increase your liability protections. Yeah. So another great question. Increase that liability. Ask if you can have more liability protection on your homeowner's policy.
Okay, so we want to increase liability. We want to see what the exclusions are.
Yep.
We're going to talk about which endorsements to have on policies.
Absolutely.
All right, all good stuff.
Yep.
Well, Alex, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. If Alex can do anything for you guys, please reach out to him. If there's anything mortgage related that I could help you with, I'd be happy to help. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
See ya.